Why would you wait for a vacation to use your days off when your business needs it more than the beach does? You've got paid time off just sitting there, but instead of using it to move the needle, you use it to escape. Not because you don't care about business, but because nobody ever told you that you could use PTO to build. One focused day off could do more for your business than 3 weeks of half-hearted late nights. Because you don't need more hours in the day, you just need to start using the hours you already own. Let's talk about how to get those hours back without risking your paycheck and have an amazing episode. Welcome back to Everything Entrepreneurship, the podcast with Kyle Jerome Carter. I'm Kyle Jerome Carter, or KJC, full name initials, it doesn't matter so long as you use one of the two. And I have an episode for you today. I'm not going to tell you, wait till the end of the episode. You don't have to. I use that to talk about just actual business and what I'm up to. But I have 3 things you can do to leverage the time that you have paid and unpaid at your job so you can help build your business to where you want it to be. So without further ado, I realize I say that. Without further ado, let's get into it, right? Now, let me know if this is you, right? I work hard and I'm good at what I do. I'm not calling out sick unless I'm at the hospital or urgent care. Yeah, I take a vacation, maybe 2, but it's my paid time off, right? Personal day. The only time I use a personal day is if I have a doctor or dentist appointment. God forbid the electrician or plumber or something has to get done in the house, then I take a day. But other than that, like I said, I show up, I do my work, I'm good at what I do. What's happening? Why do I feel like I'm stuck? Why doesn't my business knock it off the ground? If that is you, then you got to work smarter, not harder. Is it your fault? No, because nobody told you, but that's why you're here. Again, let's first reframe what a day off is. If you're giving somebody 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, right? In your benefits, you get a certain amount of sick time and a certain amount of paid time. On top of that, there are many other different types of days that you are entitled to in most cases. Some places are better than others, but overall, you have paid time off. So we got paid time off, vacation days, sick leave, personal days, floating holidays, parental leave, FMLA, sabbatical, short-term disability, long-term disability. Now, and that list goes on, depending on your employer, right? When I was doing this research, I found most places don't necessarily do mental health days when they really should, right? But what I'm getting at is there are a whole bunch of different days that you already have access to and that you can use and leverage for your business, right? Now, obviously, some of those are for medical reasons and you have to be in that medical situation to use that, If you're a woman, you can't say I'm having a baby, I got to go on leave if you're not having a baby at all, right? Same thing with different FMLA. I'm telling you to do the ethical right thing. But at the same time, I'm making you aware of the different types of days off you're entitled to and that you can use and leverage. I'm gonna let you do the rest. You feel me? But let's get right into it. What can you do? Number 1 is gonna basically reframe how you look at sick and personal days as ownership days. Basically, if you don't already know this, mental health, clarity, and long-term growth matter. A day to reset, plan, and align isn't wasted, it's protecting your long game. From today, you're going to look at all the days you have access to. Some professions, some jobs require you to list out the PTO that you want to use for the year in the first quarter, which makes no sense. I remember when I was at the bank, I'm always bringing up the bank, but it is what it is. When I was at the bank, as soon as January, February came around, they said, what's your vacation time, your PTO time looking like in October, November? And all of us were like, what are you talking about? How can I plan an emergency or these trips that might not be booked yet or even thought of in the beginning of the year? I should be able to let you know 21 days in advance or something like that if I need to take some paid time off. But some places are more flexible. You have to check with your specific place. We're extending your ability to execute on what you need for your business past during your 9 to 5 and past the 5 to 9 that you're off work, right? The weekends, you already know me and I already know you. You're a real person. You have real life going on. If you don't have kids, you got parents. And if you don't got parents, you got your own responsibilities. Boyfriend, girlfriend, this got to get done. This party, that's coming up. the weekends is ideal for your business, but at the same time, I know that you can't just stop everything for it, right? So if we're going to take our 5 to 9, our weekends, and our 9 to 5, where we would work on our business, how are we going to use this time off, KJC? Well, I'll tell you. The first thing we're going to do is basically reframe how we look at these days. It doesn't matter if it's paid or unpaid. Each and every one of these days is an ownership day. I want you to be able to look at this and say, you know what? I'm sick in bed with the flu. How am I going to look at this as an ownership day? Right? I get you. At the same time, you're not working. At the same time, you're resting. And if you're resting, you're thinking. I guarantee just because you got the flu doesn't mean you're not watching some TV or Netflix. You feel me? Your screen time is still going to be through the roof when you're off, because you can use that time to do whatever you want. Now, I'm like other people because I take into account that you're a real person with real life. It doesn't matter if you have family to take care of, if you have kids, if you're just in a relationship, if you're single, but you got commitments, you got parties, you got this going on, that going on. Life gets crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift our perspective from this is a paid day that I can just relax or I can run an errand. And we're now also going to put into that category of time off. This is also a business day, right? When people say, when you order this product, it's going to come in about 5 to 10 business days. My question to you is, how many business days is it going to take for your business to get off the ground and match the income that you're already making? Tell me in the comments below, or message me on Instagram at kyle.jerome.carter, right? They say when you're working out from just an average person trying to lose weight, get in shape, right? It's going to take about 40 or 50 workouts for you to start seeing the transformation that people count as a transformation, right? So how many business days is it going to take, not for something to get delivered, but before your business to be transformed into an actual asset that can provide you money, right? So if the first thing we're going to do is basically reframe how we see these sick and personal and pay time off days, the next thing we want to do is actually stack them. Well, what do you mean? I pulled up an image. There's a Forbes article. It should be on screen. I'm going to put it like right there. Yeah. There's a Forbes article that basically breaks down, I guess they worked with Kontiki. I don't know. And they said 15 days of PTO equal 51 days of vacation. And it basically shows you how you can strategically, as you can see right there, right there, you can strategically leverage federal holidays and weekends to get a full 51 days of vacation, right? But as I said, we're not working or worrying about vacation. What we're worrying about is using some of these days strategically to build our business. Now, again, am I saying that you need to take every single one of your paid days off and make that into a business day? No. But if you're going to take into account, I got, let's just say, 20 paid days off. We're not talking about sick time. We're not talking about leave. We're just talking about just straight up PTO. It's going to count as if I'm working, right? Then 10 of those are going to become business days, right? I gotta get my iPad synced up. So when I start writing on here, I mean, I'm on my pen and paper now, but I'm gonna have everything set up soon. It's work in progress, but that's what we're doing. So if you have 20 PTO days, right? 10 of those we're gonna allocate for business days, right? Of those 10 days, we're going to figure out how they strategically fit into the week. Now, you can use these days in a couple ways. We can either weekend stack. What's weekend stack? In this instance, am I still going to have the thing up? I should still have it up. I'm going to make it small, put it over here. I'm going to see if I can find a way to put a link down below so you can just click on it and get access to this too. But basically, we can weekend stack. We can say, you know what, we already have Saturday and Sunday off, so we're going to use a PTO day on Friday. We're going to use a PTO day on Monday. So now we have an extended weekend. Does that mean that we're going to just go party? We're going to get a section. We're going to just take a little weekend trip to clear our head? No. Though you should take a weekend trip to clear your head. What we're going to do is we're going to figure out how can I set up this time, these 4 days instead of these 2 days, and I can get my business rocking. Does that mean that Friday, because you would be working, you're going to now execute 8 hours of working on your business? Because again, if you gave 8 hours to your employer, sometimes 9, 10, I know you guys, you're working hard out here. How much of that time can you give to your business? That's a conversation most people don't want to have. But this is where we really get to be creative, right? If we're weekend stacking and we have Friday through Monday off, are you going to use Thursday night to prepare for Friday? Or are you going to use Friday to set out to see exactly what you're going to do on or Saturday and Monday? Whatever you want to do is up to you. In our last video, if you haven't seen already on strategy, go back. You can build an amazing strategy, custom fit to you and your life and what you're going through and where you're going. So if we weekend stack, then we can get 4 days. Screw 4. Let's say we just take off Friday and then we have Saturday and Sunday. Because we made that perspective shift, we're not looking at it like, okay, we're just going to relax and have fun. I know you're going through some stuff. Everybody's going through some stuff. I don't care if you're a C-level position. I don't care if you're entry level. We're all feeling the squeeze. You feel me? Now, if you don't weekend stack, let's see if you take advantage of federal holidays, right? Federal holidays typically fall either on like a Monday or a Friday for the most part. So you don't necessarily need to use your PTO on that day. You already might have an extended weekend. But what you might want to do, you might want to break up your week. You might want to say, okay, cool. There's a federal holiday on Monday. So I already have Saturday and Sunday off. Monday is clean. That's 3 days. I'm going to take off on Wednesday, not Tuesday. A little suspicious. I'm kidding. It's your time. Use it. Tuesday, we're back at work. But Wednesday, I'm going to really use to lock in. Because I know I'm going to get some work done on that Monday or that Sunday or that Saturday or Sunday, whatever you find best. And you're going to really lock in and figure out what am I going to do to move the needle, right? And then we have vacations. This is a hard conversation to have with a lot of people because I wasn't exaggerating when I said you work hard. And if you've sacrificed and made uncomfortable compromises to get to where you are, the last thing you're going to want to do is use your one vacation a year to work on a business. But I'm here to tell you that is going to be more rewarding to you than a beach or hiking on a mountain will. Now, in some instances, I'm lying because being on a beach and relaxing is really nice. But at the same time, I'm being honest. Have you even considered, I got one vacation a year. I'm taking 10 days off straight, and I'm going to use that working on my business. If you haven't had that thought yet, I'm planting the seed because there's so much more you can do when you commit yourself to just locking in for that period of time. And we're not going to do what KJC did last episode. Remember, I used to say, if only I had the time, I got the time. What did I do? I wasted it. Because you're watching this podcast, you're being put up in a better position so you don't waste your time. You're being in a better position so that when you decide to take these days, you actually use them. Because we're not going to do all this just to get some busy work. We're doing this so you can have some effective move the needle work, right? The end goal for this, the reason that you want to be an entrepreneur, have this second form of income is to make income. You know, some people get into business to feel good, leave a legacy, but at the end of the day, things are hard. People need more money. And if you're rocking with me, you're going to do something of quality. We're not here to get rich quick and scam people. You need to put the time in. So if it means turning down a vacation to Mexico or Dominican Republic or Europe so you could focus on your business, I challenge you to look at that with excitement. My friends joke around with me. Hey, KJC, what do you want to do for your birthday? Hey, KJC, what do you want to do for New Year's? Hey, KJC, what do you want to do? We're just going to celebrate. I swear, my first response of what comes out of my mind, let's go to Barnes Nobles, let's lock in. Let's rent an office on Peer Space. Let's get some work done. You feel me? But that's just because I love working, you know? But that's not for everybody. So I'm like, you guys already know me. I'm not going to say, because I did it, you need to do it. No. But what you do need to do is you have to have a solid understanding of the rest of your year. This is technically coming out, what is it? March 31st, a day before the second quarter. Now, technically, it's not my fiscal year for my company, but I love starting my year in April. Everybody, new year, new me on January 1st. April to April I love April to April. Spring has just come, you feel me? Daylight savings time is on the right way. It's time to get it in April. So if you're in a position where you already gave your employer your days off, then you got to work around what you already have. If you're in a position where it's flexible, it's fluid, and you can change this, edit that, I want you to take a look at what I have attached below, because again, I'm gonna have some sort of link to it somehow, some way. But I want you to really plan out this quarter. You don't even have to do the whole year. Just look, April, May, and June. What am I gonna do with these days off, right? April doesn't really have any federal holidays. May has one, and June has one as well. But you can use these strategically. If you're setting up April, May, and June to see where you can or already have days off, I want you to also take into consideration a few more things, because it's not all about paid time off. I'm really going to make you think here. Number one, remote days. Now, everybody has the luxury of working remote, but being able to work remote, I guarantee you know, in most jobs, you can get a day's worth of work done within about 4 hours, right? Which means, do you get another 4 hours to just say, screw your employer, you're just gonna do what you want? No. But the same way that I've already shown you that you can leverage your 9 to 5 while you're there to work on your business, you can also do that even more so when you're home. It's gonna require a little bit of multitasking, but at the same time, if you're gonna do this, you have to make sure that you're top tier and doing everything you need to do within your responsibilities for your current job. You don't want to let that slack off because you're pursuing this, right? Or you can, technically. I'm just telling you the quote unquote right way, right? So if you know that you have remote days, some people are hybrid. They might be hybrid twice a week. Tuesday, Thursday is when they're home. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they go into the office. Or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're in the office, but Monday and Friday, they're home. Whatever it might be, if you do work from home, you can figure out again, not only do I have to be reliant on my paid time off, not only do I have to be reliant on my 5 to 9 after my job, not only do I have to be reliant on just Saturday and Sunday, I have these remote days. And that might set myself up so that by the time I'm off work, I already did a little bit of work leading up to the end of the day, so that now I'm in a better position that I can actually do this, right? And for the people that are really bold, you don't need to get paid every day. Now, that might sound insensitive to the person that's working a minimum wage job, right? But again, this will make sense to you once you get a little bit further along. Money isn't everything. Can you pay your bills without money? No, you can't pay bills with heart, right? If I call T-Mobile right now and I say, yo, instead of $240 for my 3 lines, I got 240 pounds of heart. They can be like, get out of here. We're gonna cut you off. What do you mean, KJC? You don't need to get paid for your days off. Take a day off. Tell your employer, don't pay me. Again, that sounds pretty bold, but hear me out, right? Though things require money, if you're not motivated by money, a whole new world opens up, right? Do you need to work every Friday? Do you need to work every Wednesday? Let's say you blew through your whole, and again, this is why we're doing this. Let's say emergency happened. Not only did you take an early vacation in the beginning of the year, but you had a medical emergency. You had to be out of work. So now KJC is telling me, set up the rest of my year with PTO, and I don't have PTO. All I got is 5 to 9 after work and Saturday, Sunday. But like we said before, work is crazy. Not just work is crazy, life is crazy. Everything got to get done at the exact same time. Everything is late and I need money now. So what do? You say, you know what? Once a month, I'm gonna take off I'm gonna take off one Friday every month, or I'm gonna take off 2 Wednesdays every month. Something that works for you. Okay, JC, I'm salary. I need to do this. Everything's a negotiation. Now, most people are gonna be like, my supervisor, the owner of the company, my boss is not gonna take that. Maybe not, but it doesn't hurt to try. If you were to say, hey, I need to reevaluate my life and I need to make sure that my mental health is on point. So once a month, I'm going to take off one Wednesday, or twice a month, I'm going to take off the every other Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, it doesn't matter. Will it break you to not work one day? Some people it will, right? Just like I said in one of our previous episodes, when it comes to getting into entrepreneurship, to prepare you the right way, set proper expectations. For my people making over, I believe what I say, if you're making over 60,000, you need to put about 10-15% of your money aside. Put aside now because you're uncomfortable. That is uncomfortable. You know what else is uncomfortable? When Uncle Sam says it's time to pay taxes. And then, like I said, for the people that were making underneath 60,000, that really are living paycheck to paycheck, it's really hard. It's easy to just broadly swipe and say, under 60,000, screw the context of your situation, put aside 10-15%, even if that means you got to go between, am I going to eat today, or am I going to get my kid this or that? If you're entering entrepreneurship, you're not entering into something easy. You're not even entering into something easier. You feel me? You literally trading in 9 to 5 for like 9 to 9 in some aspects, And we're aiming for best case, but we also have to take into consideration worst case as well. But let me get back on track. Have a conversation with your employer and say, you know what? I'm going to start off this quarter, one Friday a month. I'm just not going to work. You don't have to pay me. Don't worry about it. Some employers are going to say, you know what, that's fine. Some are going to give pushback. Some are going to ask why. And at the end of the day, technically, you could say it's for mental health reasons. A lot of people think that there's still a stigma. You know what? There is still a stigma to an extent out there on people taking care of their mental health, because it's like, oh, mental health means they're crazy. And if they're crazy, I'm going to start treating them differently. And if I start getting treated differently from the people in my job, then that puts me as an outcast and all this other stuff. It's a slippery slope. But what's more important than what other people think is you and creating a second form of income, another revenue stream. It doesn't matter what field it's in, but you need something. And if you can get this done, if you can build that during that 9 to 5, during that 5 to 9, in the weekends, in your paid time off, then you don't need to. I'm not telling people to just jump to this straight away. I'm just letting you know how deep this goes, and how certain people of a certain level of commitment, regardless of the pain, are going to say, you know what, I can do that. I can afford to take one Wednesday off, right? I remember when I was working at the bank, as I always say, and like I said, I had to give out all these days. I knew I wanted to go home to Michigan to go see my mom. But other than that, I had like 7 PTO days I still had to account for. So I legit said, all right, I'm going to take off every other Wednesday in this month and this month. And again, I wish I had KJC, Everything Entrepreneurship, the podcast at the time, because I'd be using that time specifically on my business. But I use those Wednesdays to relax, go to the gym. I still went to Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that. But I would be much further ahead if I was able to look at these days off as to what they truly were, an opportunity for me to really get work done. That's why I'm changing the name from days off to ownership days. It doesn't matter if you're actually in bed sick, it's an ownership day. How are you going to take ownership over what you're trying to build and progress it, even if it is a little bit, right? But I don't want to beat this. I don't want to beat this like a dead horse. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but basically, you're going to reframe the way that you even look at these days. You're going to call them ownership days, right? You're going to stack your PTO days, and you're going to say, you know what, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. I got 9 months left in the year. This is how I'm going to use this strategically. And you're going to basically understand that each one of these days can be much more valuable than just working a little bit of work here and there, Saturday, Sunday, or after work, right? And you're going to really have to gauge yourself. What's your pain tolerance, high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward? Are you willing to say, you know what, I don't need to go on vacation because I'm so committed and I understand I'm going to get this thing done? Or are you willing to say, hey, you know what, employer, I need this day off. I need this many days off a month. Don't pay me. It's fine. I need to take care of this first. But regardless, how you use the days matter. That's why if you haven't already finished, even if you did finish, go back to last week's episode. We're talking about strategy. I said it before, you don't got to stay to the end. I'm literally just talking about my company. I'm talking about what I'm up to. But a good amount of people didn't get to the part where we actually start breaking down the strategy, right? And I feel like I'm going to make an actual like whiteboard video or digital whiteboard so that you can follow along with just different variations and stuff like that. But your strategy is everything. Your strategy is key. And building your strategy around your life, and even more than that, your schedule in your life, you're going to be able to not only leverage these days off, but you're going to be able to position yourself to build the momentum again, 9 to 5, 5 to 9, weekends and now days off, so that you can do the work you need, move the needle, and start making the income, right? I haven't chosen the topic for next week's episode, but this is about entrepreneurship. It's going to be something centered around making money, because these are the things that stop people from making the money, whether it's the mindset, whether it's not looking at your job the right way, whether it's not using your time, whether it's your strategy. But that's what people like to talk about, is the money. So let's show you how to make some money in the next episode. But that is that part. Let's transition over to what KJC's been up to, right? New Year's almost here. Like I said, I look at April differently. I'm really excited, and I think I'm gonna, actually, no, not think. I've been having fun on YouTube, but I got to get back on my Instagram. I got the clips. I just been having a lot of fun branding them and stuff like that. You feel me? I was this close to just screen recording and just doing a voiceover. This is why I do this, because when it comes to businesses and business owners, though you don't have to worry about the minute details, but the minute details do matter. Words mean something. And if you say this word instead of that word, it can affect the consumer psychology. And it's like, people don't understand that. But everything has a purpose. I'm really looking forward this summer to working and doing some trainings for different businesses and companies and stuff like that. And I'm still in the middle of this AI blitz. I've learned a lot. AI is no joke. If you haven't already gotten on to that train, get into it, get on it, because just about every industry I've seen so far that I've looked into could use it to amplify what they're doing, right? You already know me. I'm not a big proponent of leave everything up for AI, because at a business level, oh my goodness, at a business level, I can tell when a business owner just puts something in ChatGPT. Or if somebody is reaching out to us, hey, are you guys hiring? I want a position, everything. I can tell when you use Tony, you feel me? I call ChatGPT Tony. But when it comes to your branding and your messaging, it has to be congruent to the level of service or product that you deliver. If you use ChatGPT for your messaging, and by the time a person purchases from you and they get your product or service, and that quality doesn't match up, it's going to create more of a disconnect than it would have if you had just took the time yourself to type out something, put it out, they make that decision or not. Because ChatGPT uses the same like 1,000 words like for everybody's prompt, unless you prompt hack, which is another crazy thing. The change your prompts, at least get a little bit more creative, give it more detail, because you're literally getting what 90% of people are getting getting out of it as well. And let's just say I go to a shoe store. Every shoe store that's using AI is going to have very similar wording, very similar punctuation. It's crazy. If I'm looking at just different websites and their blogs and their content that they're writing. I can tell when it's AI generated. They have AI detectors, you know? Like if I have to write something, I'm able to convey my message in a way that stands out even amongst people that are using AI. So was this a little rant to say don't use AI? No, it's just if you're in business, use it strategically because consumers are going to be able to understand that's not you talking, that's not you writing, that's not your values, that's Tony's values. And if you want a better customer experience, if you want more word of mouth, if you want happier people, then it needs to connect. Now, granted, if you're using Tony to give you some high level messaging and positioning, then cool if you can back it up. But if not, mm-mm-mm. Now I got a couple different people I'm reaching out to this week, just to see if I can just shoot some stuff off in their head because I've come across a lot of interesting stuff with AI right now. But yeah, that's what I'm up to. So I'm gonna end this now. Expect another video per week. Maybe not this week. If I can, I will. But I do want to get more content on YouTube. But before I do that, like I said, I got to get more stuff on my Instagram and stuff like that. Low key, LinkedIn, I'm coming for you. I'm trying to figure out the best way to keep everything in line. But man, oh man. But thanks for watching. Send this to somebody you believe in. If you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the support. You can really do this. You can leverage your time off. But I will talk to you next episode.